In this video, we're going to solve this rational equation. It's one of everybody's favorite. I typically tell students to treat it like a fraction, just on steroids a little bit. But nonetheless, we still have to have a least common denominator. So what we're going to do here is we're going to look at all of the denominators. There's an x minus 3 and an x. And typically the way you always find a least common denominator is you multiply the two denominators, or the number of denominators that you have, you multiply them together to get a common denominator. And sometimes that common denominator is the least or the lowest common denominator. Here we're looking at the least common multiple, which is x times x minus 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite the original problem, but I'm going to leave some spaces in between the terms. That's going to allow me to go through each term and multiply that term by the least common multiple. And here that's written in red. At this point, I'm going to look at the denominator versus the least common multiple, and I'm going to cancel out the parts or the expressions that will cancel. Here, x minus 3 will cancel, and so I write down what's left over. Then I look at the next term. The x's cancel, and I write down what's left over. Everything on the right-hand side cancels out of the equal sign except the negative 3. And then I just distribute what's left. And that is our equation as it stands right now. Notice that I have some terms that I can combine, and I also need to move the negative 3 over to the polynomial side and do that algebraically. So we'll let this play out right here. We combine the negative 8x plus 3x. We add the 3 back to the other side. Now I have a quadratic trinomial set equal to 0. The next step will be solving this, and in an earlier video I talked about this particular method that I'm going to use here. It's called the ratio method. I set up my chart and I begin to fill things in. I identify my coefficients and the constants. So here I'm going to multiply A and C together and get that product. And then we're going to find the factors of that product, which will sum to the negative 5 in the middle term of the trinomial. Negative 24 has several factors, but there's the magic combination. I had the right number and the wrong sign. So when I go through and I make the appropriate corrections, there are my two ratios. Notice the 4x and the 4x on top of each numerator. That 4 comes from the fact that that is the coefficient for A. Now I'm going to go through and simplify when possible. 4x plus 3 will not. Then those two right there will simplify. And that leaves me with 4x plus 3 times x minus 2 equal to 0. So then I'll go through, separate that out, each factor set it equal to 0, and I'll see that both of those give a result, and I would go through and I would check those with the original equation.